I agree. I couldn't agree more with something that Eugene just said about looking forward to a day when there's, gajillions of transactions occurring on blockchains. I'm looking forward to the day when there's just gajillions of people leveraging everything we're all trying to do here. We just moved from capital markets use cases, and now we're going to talk about some mainstream use cases with these gentlemen here. So first up is, I'd just love it if you guys would quickly introduce yourselves and kind of what your involvement is with the space in general, and more specifically with something like USDC, and then we can go into some more specifics.
Okay, start first. Okay, I'm Michael from Redot Pay. We are based in Hong Kong. What we are doing is doing the crypto payment. We want to bring the USDC, the stablecoin, into our daily transactions. That's what we are doing right now. So together with a few partners in the market, we have launched the crypto credit card in Hong Kong. And it was very popular in the market so far, yeah.
Wonderful.
My name is Darren. I'm one of the co-founders for Reap. And we're a very proud Hong Kong platform as well. Reap is providing global payments and financial services infrastructure that's completely enabled by stablecoins. To put it very simply, we have three main products. The first is a corporate credit card that you can use USDC to settle the balance for every single month. And we obviously want to take advantage of that infrastructure and be able to offer it to platforms like Redot so that they can extend the reach of USDC-backed cards here in Hong Kong to other use cases that is beyond our ecosystem. And then lastly, our third product is a cross-border payments platform that allows you to use USDC as the originating source currency so that you can pay out in a myriad of different currencies all over the world into a multitude of different countries all over the world. So we work very closely with both Visa as well as Redot on powering and providing the infrastructure to enable all of this to happen.
Wonderful, thank you. And Nischint.
Thank you. Great to be here. My name is Nischint Sanghvi. I take care of the digital currency business for Visa for Asia Pacific. Again, Visa and digital currencies sometimes doesn't always go together, but our focus is in a lot of area to at least act as a bridge between the digital currency ecosystem and our network of 80 million plus merchants and 15,000 plus financial institution partners. Specifically on USDC, we have a live pilot on USDC settlement, which we're working with a few partners announced last year on USDC on Solana and Ethereum, working with partners like Crypto.com, World Pay, and Nuvei. And we continue to expand that pilot into more countries and markets. So yeah.
Super, thank you. So we often describe USDC as a dollar with superpowers. You all just described briefly kind of what you're doing to leverage digital currency to drive better value for users. Feel free to elaborate a bit on what you just said if you want to dive into it a little bit more. But I'd love for you also to just talk a bit about how this really is an upgrade for money movement. And most importantly, give us some real world examples, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Is I think we're at this inflection point now where we are still at the early stages of this kind of revolution, but there's so many more real world examples, say this year compared to even just a few months ago, that I'd love to hear from each of you. So in whatever order you choose.
Okay, sure, I can go first. So again, in terms of what I mentioned earlier, like we want to be the bridge between the ecosystem and our current partners. But specifically what we are doing, one of the big things is on-ramp. We want to make sure that Visa cards can be used at any Web3 platform, whether you're an exchange, an NFT platform, somewhere in the metaverse, if that still exists, but all of those places. Then we have on the off-ramp side, where we want to make sure that every digital currency platform has a Visa credential embedded into it, where users can in a very simple way spend their digital currency balances. Today, the experience is not so easy for people to spend their digital currency, and especially on stablecoin, we've seen these use cases come up. So it becomes a very easy off-ramp for that. We do have an advisory platform which does help digital currency firms get onto payments and vice versa as well. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of early stage work with regulators on CBDC, tokenized deposits, including the work we've done on the EHKD project in Hong Kong for phase 1 and phase 2. And lastly, again, I think in terms of real world examples, what I mentioned is as we look at settling 150 we transact 150 different currencies and 25 plus settlement currencies. We want to add USDC as one more of those, where any partner can literally onboard and settle with us. I mean, we're already doing this as a pilot, but we want to get it to scale in the next few years as well. So I think we do look at that, and partners like Crypto.com and WorldPay, they've seen that it really helps them solve some pain points. We published a use case paper on that, and it can see how the control goes back to the companies. I think in the earlier panels also they've talked about how this helps in pre-funding. I think
right.
So pre-funding, collateral requirements, especially being a 24/7 currency. So I think those are the things that we are really focused on.
Wonderful. Go for it.
Sure. I think on our side, obviously we work very closely with different infrastructure partners, as I mentioned. And I think it really extends the capabilities of that infrastructure across all dimensions, right? So Visa is a close partner of ours. We currently have to settle with them using the fiat banking system, which has inherent limitations around timing, availability. So I think for us, being able to settle using USDC to Visa would be a great first step as a catalyst for a lot of better user experiences down the road, right? Everything from being able to settle 24/7 on the weekends, all of these capabilities, I think, has a lot of second order and downstream effects around making the sort of liquidity issues non-existent, providing more global access, things of that nature. The second thing I would say is, I think a lot of the value here is really for businesses and platforms outside of developed markets like Hong Kong, right? But I think the problem exists there, but the solution, I think, in my opinion, has to be offered through infrastructure here in Asia. I think Hong Kong and Singapore are very uniquely positioned in the sense that the fiat infrastructure is multi-currency, as an example, from day one. And that really allows you to serve global payment use cases, but also, I think, amplifies the utility of stablecoins more broadly, because at the end of the day, you still need to be able to interact with the existing TradFi systems in the fiat world. So if we can find a way to export this infrastructure to places like Latin America, Africa, where the domestic problems are very prevalent and apparent, but they don't have access to the same infrastructure that we do, I think that's when the true value of being able to create more global commerce flows, more trade flows becomes a lot more relevant. So one example for us that we've been very excited about is working with platforms in Latin America, and through a very close partnership with Circle in both Mexico and Brazil. Brazil, as an example's biggest trading partner is China, right? And so they have to have a lot of settlement flows that pay for suppliers, raw materials, things of that nature here in China. But going through the SWIFT and the current banking rails makes it very, very difficult. And there's a lot of friction related to corresponding banking and settlement times. And this is the area that I think will really inject a lot of efficiencies as it relates to connecting trading partners like Brazil and Asia, right? So I think these are the things that we've seen that we want to continue to power. And then lastly, I think, as we think about where the value will continue to accrue in a world, let's say, where all banking is powered by stablecoins and USDC, I think in that world, we want to be able to find a way to create the sort of financial infrastructure with the most amount of ecosystem, and the largest ecosystem with the most amount of integrations and connections, in a way where the current modalities of money movement will fundamentally change, right? Imagine being able to get paid in real time on a per second basis as opposed to a monthly or bi-weekly basis, which is the norm today. I think these are the type of innovations that can only be created when the infrastructure reaches a point where it is a lot faster and more available and accessible to businesses and platforms everywhere. So we want to find a way to build for that world, and I think it starts with stablecoin enablement everywhere.
Yeah, this is really the first time you have an open protocol for money on the internet, and that's what makes it so exciting. Michael.
I think for us it's mainly facing the end users. So I think for us to roll out the product last year, I think it's impossible without the support from the Circle, RIP, and Visa. So this is definitely we need an ecosystem there to make the things happen and make the product accessible to mass market. I think the first point I want to make. The second point is that there's a strong demand from those unbanked and undeveloped areas.
Yes.
Yeah, particularly like the Latin America that Darren just mentioned.
Yep.
There's quite some strong demand from Africa, Middle East, and Eastern Europe as well. That's where we see the demand. Okay, and the third one is that based on the data we have so far, around 96% of the usage through the crypto credit card is in stablecoin.
Yep.
So it means the use case is that mainly the people use that for online transactions in US dollar. So if you have a stablecoin, compliant stablecoin pegged to US dollar, we see it as a trend that is going to have a more larger portion of the settlement in stablecoin. That's what we see right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I believe that in Southeast Asia, I mean, based on what you guys were just laddering off of what you were saying, the online, they're predicting close to 60% penetration of digital wallets in the unbanked population in 2025. So whether you're talking about largely these marginalized populations that you're all referring to, whether it's south of the equator or elsewhere, the unlock is really quite extraordinary. Speaking of that, Darren, you were just very articulate in touching on this. I'd like to dive into it just for a few more minutes, which is the biggest challenges in today's global payment system and how something like a stable-coin like USDC and blockchain as well can address those challenges. You very articulately explained some of them, that's not 24/7, 365. How about something settling in seconds, not weeks or days or hours? But are there other challenges that you think something like a stablecoin and blockchain can help with? I'd love to hear from each of you.
I think for us, I think a lot of the challenges and headwinds here are around compliance and making sure that our counterparties, our vendors, and our infrastructure partners are familiar and comfortable with, I think, the capabilities of stablecoins more meaningfully, because once you do get through that education phase, I think all of the sort of the ancillary products around offering payments becomes a lot more obvious as something that stablecoins can improve as opposed to limit, right? So I think these continue to be an area that we invest a lot of time in around education, around getting folks comfortable with some of the new capabilities that we are powering. And this is done on an international level.
Yeah,
right?
and regulation certainly helps. The minute you have a regulatory regime such as what the Europeans have just come out with, MICA, or such as what Singapore has, or such as what I know Hong Kong is thinking about and getting closer and closer to, as Jeremy was talking about this morning, that gives those companies and those end users even just the comfort of knowing that this is okay. It's not some shadowy offshore thing that someone who doesn't have a face is creating. In fact, you're showing up, they're humans, there's legislation around it, et cetera. So.
Yeah, everything from transaction monitoring to compliance, things that we fundamentally care about as a payments company can be enhanced significantly with stablecoins, and that's the area that we're pretty excited about.
I should say that all three of you, I mean, obviously Visa's been around forever and is well known for its the trust people place in its system, but Redot Pay and Reap both invest an enormous amount in compliance and making sure you're walking in through the front doors of regulators as well. I mean, it's clear on your homepages and everything, which is really impressive and what we love about working with you guys. Michael, did you have anything else to add in terms of just stablecoins and blockchains and so forth, and what that might enable to sort of address the challenges of today's money, the way money moves today?
I actually agree with Darren. I think the biggest challenge is for the counterparty to understand how we do that in a compliant way. Like in the crypto world, I think in the traditional world is like SWIFT, this kind of way to send money, right? But for blockchain, then we have new things like travel rule and KYT to understand the source of the fund, to send who is the sender, who is the receiver. So I believe after the counterparty understand how it works, probably the adoption of the stablecoin in settlement will be much easier and faster. But right now it's just starting stage, and and the demand is, as I said, is mainly coming from the undeveloped countries first and unbanked countries first, because they have a lead for that.
Yep.
They are more willing to learn, to understand what's behind that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Nischint, anything to add?
I think mostly been covered, but I would say cross-border payments is still probably the biggest pain point within the payment ecosystem. And again, as stablecoins can do the whole entire 24/7, 365, near real time, I think that does tremendously help solve it, or also bring costs down, at least hopefully in the near term. But in terms of the use cases, I think a lot of the stuff that we've been discussing already, right? One is, of course, cross-border payments.
Yep.
Second one is the stability aspect, where in countries in wherever there is a massive inflation problem, people are using USDC and other stable coins as a means of saving, and that becomes very critical. And as we look at more use cases on that, and I think third one is settlement. I think as more B2B flows start coming in, we start seeing settlement use cases. Again, I think the other panel also they talked about it, where the money moves in the same direction as the message. It's not a disjointed effort. So I think once that happens, you will start seeing more use cases. I think these are the 3-4 use cases we see, but I think cross-border payments, I think, is the most challenging one.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Ben on the panel before was asking about a crystal ball. So I'm gonna ask you guys as well, because this is obviously a different sector of the industry. But when you think about the horizon and sort of what the future might bring, what gets you most excited? What do you think is kind of nirvana? And I'm talking about like 12 plus months out. I could say 24, but in this industry, things are happening so fast that I don't know. I don't know that we can even predict what might be possible 12 months out. And is it brought on by the convergence of multiple technologies, such as what Jeremy was talking about this morning with AI, and say something like a smart contract, which is so natively and organically just almost built for AI, and vice versa? Is it just a bunch of other technologies coming together? Is it just this blockchain and cryptography put together with stablecoins? I'm just dying to know what you guys think about sort of what are the most exciting things when you think about what's possible.
Okay. As I said, I think for our company, the logo is spend crypto like fiat. So we launched the crypto credit card. I think for the next big thing in the market, I would see probably 2 in my mind in terms of the stablecoin payment. I think one is the scan the QR code using the tokens. I think right now it's the payment landscape is very fragmented. So each country has a different PSP and the banks to do the local payment. So if we can get a local regulator and a local PSP to accept the stable coin, I think the next big thing is to scan the QR code for the payment. Because right now we are making the product available to the market working with RIP and Visa to get that done. I think the next one is the scan QR code for payment. I think it's much easier. Like what we see in China market, like using the WeChat Pay, Alipay, and the Alipay got more popular globally right now. And I think the payment is through the QR code. It's much easier. Okay, that's one I'm seeing a big opportunity. The second one I see is probably called send the crypto like fiat. Yeah, because right now, I think crypto to crypto transfer is very easy. Technology is very easy, right? But the challenge we see right now is, as we just mentioned in the last question, the adoption by the counterparty, whether it's a bank or PSP or by the merchant, is not there yet, right? But we still need to wait for the people to get familiar with that. I think the next big thing I see is the send crypto like fiat. It means that you can use the stable coin or whatever token, you can send it to the recipients in the fast and efficient way. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah. Wonderful.
I think a lot of folks think about technology innovation as this sort of really sexy type of like new AI tool that can spit out anything you want and do your work for you. I think for us as a payments company, I think there's a couple of things. One is our vision is to provide more global access and financial connectivity. And I think that we're still in the first inning, or first quarter, I guess. No baseball analogy. Quarter of really developing what that looks like, right? So how do we find ways to be able to move money cross-border for point A to point B faster. And I think that in of itself, while it's not as sexy as sort of some of the other technology innovations, is fundamentally, I think, going to change the game.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a watershed sort of ChatGPT moment for stablecoins.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's an area that we continue to want to invest in, and we'll continue to work with partners like Circle and Visa on this. I think the second is, I think we think a lot about how do we create the infrastructure to allow new modalities of payment to come through. And that still, I think, is very much in early days. So I think we want to make sure that that platform and infrastructure that we're creating of making new modalities of payments is as easy as possible, right? And it's not just about payments or APIs and things of that nature.
Right.
It's about all of the ancillary things, right? Compliance, transaction monitoring. All of these capabilities are not immediately obvious to new payment modes, and we want to make sure that those type of, I think, things that are just as important are part of the stack and the sort of platform that we create as well.
Yeah. What about things like micropayments in your world in particular, when you're thinking about businesses trying to do their, whether it's micropayments that sort of are mapped to supply chains to make businesses, the job of businesses paying for their vendors and suppliers that much easier?
Totally. So within sort of trade finance, obviously there's a huge focus on credibility and trust, right? You don't know some of the suppliers that you're working with. Often it's cross-border in nature. I think blockchain technology allows you to create a multi-sig process so that you can create more trust and have more unlocks within that flow, right? So I think the current way to handle B2B payments using the existing banking structure is a lot based on sort of paper-based commercial agreements and guarantees, where I think we want to bring that and codify that in using programmable money, and we can do that I think that creates a new layer of innovation that we're excited about. Yeah,
when you think about the whole world of lending that exists for invoicing and so forth, with how companies, how suppliers in particular have to manage their businesses, it's really incredibly, it's just filled with friction in so many respects. Nischint.
I think some of the changes on the capital market side, which with tokenization, I think that's something we do look forward to, and we'll see how that pans out. And also, of course, bringing in the tokenized fiat in, stablecoins, whether it's CBDC or tokenized deposits, all three of them interacting with the capital markets. That's something I think in the next 12 to 18 to 24 months is something that will be exciting. Second one is I think what everybody mentioned about cross-border payments and how stablecoins and other forms of digital fiat are able to transform that and even have more traditional financial institutions use it more often than currently used. Third one, I think, which has probably seen its wave coming through, but digital goods had its moment, but I think there could be a different form of it coming up, and that's what we would want to see, like how a tokenized form of a digital good can be used, and again with tokenized fiat. So again, going back to
like a loyalty token or
something from that. Again, we've seen the NFT and all of that, but I think this is more on real goods with some
real world
kind of,
assets. You mean
not exactly real world assets, but something closer to that, which can be traded eventually. It could be a digital good or a combination of a hybrid versus digital. Still early. Let's see how that one pans out.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much. This has been awesome. Really appreciate this. It's so, in our industry, I joke that my job is, it's a pie that's not 100% because, as we all know, working in this space seems to be 24/7, 365. But if the total pie of one's day is 300%, not 100%, at least 275% of that is explaining these real-world use cases so that people really understand and start trusting the technology more because they can actually relate to it. So this has been really wonderfully articulated. So thank you all very, very much. And I'm going to bring back onto the stage Yam-Ki Chan. Thank you.
Thank you.